Where's the other guitar today? Okay. All right. See where we are. Okay. Vaishnava Thakur Yar Sagar Eda Se Karuna Puri O He Vaishnava Thakur Yar Sagar Eda Se Karuna Jaya Shodhya Maya Tomara Charana Dori Diyapada Jaya Shodhya Maya Tomara Charana Jaya Begatami Jaya Dosha Shuli Jaya Guna Deo Dase Jaya Begatami Jaya Dosha Shuli Jaya Guna Deo Dase Jaya Satsanga Deo Yamare Mokshichi Sangira Se Jaya Satsanga Deo Yamare Mokshichi Sangira Kaki Yamara Boy Mono Inam Sangirane Tupi Kripakori Shatavinudiya Deha Krishna Namatane Pagori Shatabinudiya Deya Krishna Namadane Krishna se Tomar Krishna Dite Paru Tomara Shakati Ajay Krishna say Tomara Dite Paru Bhakti Ajay. Amido Gangala Krishna Krishna Bole Jayatava Pajay Bajay. Amido Gangala Krishna Krishna Bole Jayatava Pajay Bajay. Vaishnava Thakura Daya Sagarena Se Vaishnava Thakura Daya Sagarena Se Karuna Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Paramikacharya, Osajata, Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chalana, the Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prema Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidway Gadadha, Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Paturadam Ki Jai, Jagat Sami Ki Jai, Yamuna Maya Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya. Krishna Prastaya Budale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Samadhi Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatan. Let me read the translation. O venerable Vaishnava, O ocean of mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions. Rectify my 6 faults. Bestow upon me the 6 qualities and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting, Krishna, Krishna. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. So, we're going to continue with our study of the Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And let's continue. So, Om Ganati Mirandasha Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness, extreme darkness of ignorance. So, let's share the screen. Make sure that screen is open. There it is. Okay. Screen sharing on. There we go. 13th chapter, the Chaitanya Bhagavat, text 264. Okay. Let me just put that window aside so I can see better. Okay. Such a name was vibrated by a jamil, so his deliverance was not very wonderful. You incarnate to establish the truth of the Vedas. If you do not deliver the living entities, then the words of the Vedas become false. Yet we have harmed the body of your associate, because there's Jagai and Madhai, and still you have delivered both of us. O Lord, now just see how much difference there is between you and us, too. On hearing the name Narayan from the mouth of a Jamil, 4 Mahajans came and appeared before him. And those are the Vishnudutas. We saw you, along with your associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions, after we drew blood from Nityananda. Till now you have kept your glories concealed, but, O Lord, the limit of your glories is now revealed. Now the Vedas have become most authoritative, and now Lord Ananta will proudly sing your glories. Now your hidden quality has become manifest. O Lord, the name of this quality is causeless deliverance. Let's see what the Bengali is. Mirakshudara. If you say that despite their attack, demons like Kamsa were also delivered, then consider what qualities they had. Those kings constantly saw you. They fought with you according to Kshatriya principles and constantly thought of you in fear. Yet they could not avoid the sin of attacking you, and as a result, they and their dynasties were destroyed. They left their bodies while seeing you, yet which great soul cared to touch them? The pure devotees who once took bath in the Ganges after touching our shadow are now touching us. O Lord, this is certainly due to your extraordinary glories. Who can be deceived now? Everyone is convinced. The great devotee Gajendra offered you prayers, and you delivered him because he was fully surrendered. Of course, these are all prayers offered by Jagai and Madhai to Lord Chaitanya. That example cannot be applied to demons like Putana, Aga, and Baka. Although they attained the spiritual world when they left their bodies, who had the power to see that without Vedic knowledge? What you have done to us two sinners, however, has been directly seen by people of the entire world. In other words, these other devotees getting liberated was not, the circumstance was not seen by everybody. It was, obviously not everybody saw the Yamadutas and the Jamil and the other circumstances that are mentioned here. But in this particular case, it was witnessed by everybody, well, hundreds of people basically. The sinners that you have previously delivered all had some qualification or other, but now you've causelessly delivered two persons who were Brahman demons. This is only due to your mercy. Jagai and Madhai cried as they offered their prayers. Such are the matchless pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. On seeing this matchless pastime, all the Vaishnavas stood up and offered prayers with folded hands. O Lord, without your mercy, not even one's father will understand the prayers offered by these two drunkards. Who can understand your inconceivable energies, or when, how, and on whom you bestow your mercy? The Lord said, these two are no longer drunkards. From today on, these two are my servants. All of you bestow your mercy on these two, so that birth after birth they do not forget me. Forgive whatever offenses they have committed against you, and show compassion on them. Hearing the Lord's words, Jagai and Madhai fell down at everyone's feet. All the devotees blessed Jagai and Madhai, who were then freed from all their offenses. The Lord said, get up, Jagai and Madhai. Do not worry, for you are my servants. The prayers that you offered are certainly true. No one can refute them. What you have experienced is not possible in these bodies. Know for certain that this was simply due to Nityananda's mercy. I have personally taken charge of your sinful reactions. O brothers, see for yourselves. Now this is getting very interesting occasion here, interesting pastime. In order to demonstrate that there were no more sins remaining in the bodies of those two, the Lord's body turned blackish. In other words, Lord Chaitanya was showing, I've accepted all these sins, and look what happens to me. Of course, then he looks like Krishna. The Lord said, how do I look? Advaita replied, you look just like Sri Gokula Chandra. On hearing Advaita's comment, Vishwambara smiled, and all the devotees chanted the name of Hari. The Lord said, just see how these two sinners are black. Perform kirtan so their sins take shelter in those who blaspheme. Hearing the Lord's words, everyone became jubilant. They then began to perform kirtan in ecstasy. Lord Vishwambara danced with Nityananda, and all the Vaishnavas surrounded them and sang the glories of the Lord. Advaita also danced. He had induced the Lord to incarnate and thus deliver the entire world. As they performed kirtan, everyone clapped their hands and danced jubilantly. They felt no fear as they bumped into the Lord thousands of times in their ecstasy. Mother Sachi and her daughter-in-law floated in an ocean of ecstasy as they watched everything from within the house. Everyone was filled with ecstasy after seeing this pastime. Their ecstatic love for Krishna was uninterrupted. The two drunkards danced in the association of he, whose body the goddess of fortune is afraid to touch. In this way, Lord Chaitanya delivered the two drunkards and sent the blasphemers of the Vaishnavas to the hell known as Kumbhipaka. Phew. Blasphemy does not enhance one's religious principles. It only results in sin. That is why fortunate souls do not engage in blasphemy. After transforming the two rogues into Mahabhagavats, Sri Gaurahari danced along with his associates. I want to mention something about blasphemy that's quite interesting. Like someone who minimizes Prabhupada or criticizes Prabhupada or says that Prabhupada wasn't presenting the absolute truth to us, that is blasphemy. Or Prabhupada changed the absolute truth as a preaching strategy. That's blasphemy. Yep. Better believe it. And when one blasphemes, one loses Krishna's mercy. Overwhelmed from dancing, Lord Vishwambara sat down and all the Vaishnavas sat around him. Their bodies were covered with 2 inches of dust, yet they were all filled with pure knowledge. Lord Gaurasundar regained his former state, smiled, and spoke to everyone around there. Do not consider these two as sinners, for I have personally burned their sinful reactions to ashes. In the bodies of all living entities, it is I who makes them act, speak, move, and eat. When I leave a body, it dies. The living entity cries out if he feels a little distress, but if I am not present in that body, it will not even move when burned. He's the super soul. But the living entity's distress is due to false ego. He suffers miseries because he claims I am the doer, I am the speaker. This is an interesting point. The reason we experience the miseries is because of our identification with matter, thinking I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor of this body, I am this body. As soon as we give up the attachment, we give up the misery. We also give up material pleasure too. So it's a mixed bag. Therefore, the activities done by these two were actually done by me, and I've released them from the reactions. Knowing this fact, all of you Vaishnavas should see them as one of you and not discriminate against them. If you really belong to me, then listen to my order. Whatever you faithfully give these two to eat will be equal to offering with love to Krishna's mouth all the honey available in innumerable universes. There's also another important point, that with a Vaishnava, we do not consider their past or what type of birth or family they were born in, or what sinful activity they might have executed. We don't look at the past. Finished. The past is finished. At the same time, if someone has done something extremely sinful, let's say like child abuse, then that person is avoided, kicked out of the society of devotees. We pray for them, but they're no longer we don't accept their association because of the danger to other people. And to protect the innocent, the children in society, children, women, old people, Brahmins, etc., and cows, of course. Anyone who gives these two a small portion of food gives honey to the mouth of Krishna. If anyone ridicules these two, he will be ruined as a result of that offense. On hearing the Lord's words, the Vaishnavas cried in ecstatic love. They all offered obeisances to Jagai and Madhai. The Lord then said, "Listen, devotees, let us all go to the Ganges." Accompanied by his associates and wearing a garland of forest flowers, Lord Vishwambara entered the waters of the Ganges. Due to the ecstasy of kirtan, all the devotees constantly behaved like restless young boys. Although they were all greatly learned and mature, they behaved like young boys. This is the potency of devotional service to Vishnu. In the festival of taking bath in the Ganges after kirtan, everyone was so overwhelmed with ecstasy that they forgot who was the Lord and who were the servants. When the Lord splashed water on the Vaishnavas, no one could compete with him. They all retreated in defeat. In other words, they were having water fights. Everyone who engaged in water fights with the Lord retreated after fighting for some time. Sometimes Advaita, Gauranga, Nityananda sported together, and sometimes Haridas, Srivas, and Mukunda sported. Among the innumerable servants of Lord Chaitanya present were Sri Garbha, Sri Sadashiva, Murari Gupta, Shiman Purushottam, Mukunda, Sanjaya, Buddhimanta Khan, Pundarik Vijanidhi, Gangadas, Jagadisha, Gopinath, Haridas, Garuda, Sri Rama, Govinda, Sridhar, Krishna, Nanda, Kashishvara, Jagadananda, Govindananda, and Sri Shuklambara. Many others whose names I do not know will in the future be revealed in the Puranas by Vedavyas. They all sported in the waters with one another. In the mellows of ecstatic love, some conquered and some were defeated. Gadadhar and Gauranga engaged in water sports together. Nityananda and Advaita also sported in the water together. The powerful Nityananda sportingly splashed water with great force into the eyes of Advaita. Nice. Advaita could not open his eyes, so in great anger he abused Nityananda. "This drunken Nityananda has made me blind and deaf. From where has this drunkard come?" Srivas Pandit does not belong to any caste. He brought this Avaduta from somewhere and gave him a place to stay. In other words, Srivas Thakur lost his caste. The stealthy son of Sachi can do so much, yet he constantly enjoys the company of this Avaduta. Nityananda replied, "Don't you feel embarrassed to speak like this? You have been defeated, so what is the use of quarreling?" Gaurachandra said, "One time doesn't count. Winning and losing is decided after 3 fights." Advaita and Nitai engaged in water fighting. They are one, but for the purpose of sporting, they have become 2. In other words, Advaita, Achyuta, Nadir, Ananta Rupam, Adyam Purana, Purusham, Naviyovanam Cha, Vedeshu, Durlabha, Madurlabha, Matma Bhakto, Govinda Mani Purisham, Tamaham Bachami. There is one God, and of course Advaita is the name of Advaitacharya. It also is a philosophical point about there only being one God, Advaita, without duality, without any differentiation. So they're both the same person, in different mood, acting simultaneously and even in opposition. It's interesting. In their water fight, neither could defeat the other. One time one conquered, and the next time he was defeated. With renewed enthusiasm, Nityananda forcefully splashed water in Advaita's eyes. Advaita became distressed and said, "You are intoxicated. You could never become a sannyasi by killing a Brahmin. You have eaten in the house of people from the West. No one knows about your family, birth, or caste." No one knows about your father, mother, or spiritual master. You eat everything, wear everything, advertise yourself as an Avaduta. As Advaita indirectly glorified Nityananda the pretext of criticizing him, Nityananda Prabhu and his associates laughed. Acharya Goswami burned with anger as he exclaimed, "It will not be my fault when I destroy everybody." Seeing Advaitacharya's anger, all the devotees laughed. In anger, he actually spoke the truth, which appeared as harsh words. Without understanding the purport of such loving quarrels, if someone considering them different from each other criticizes one and glorifies the other, he will be burned to death. Woo-hoo. Only one who is favored by Nityananda and Gaurachandra can understand the words of the Vaishnavas. After Nityananda and Advaita engaged in ecstatic pastimes for some time, they embraced each other. The two Prabhus were greatly intoxicated with the mellow of love for Gaurachandra. Thereafter, Nityananda floated around in the waters of the Ganges. So how do we understand what was going on between Advaitacharya and Lord Nityananda? Well, let's make reference to some sporting game where two friends sport, and one takes one side, another one takes another side, and for the purpose of sporting, they are competing with each other. I remember when we were finishing the temple in Suva, every day after the construction was going on, the devotees would play volleyball. And when we played volleyball, and people were on different sides, even I played, we would call the people on the other side different names. I mean, no, like, four-letter words or anything like that. But we'd denigrate them. You're useless. You're hopeless. And it was just a sign of chivalry. In this way, the Lord and his associates engaged every night in water sports after kirtan. Wow. Would have loved to be there. Human beings have no power to see such pastimes, but the demigods secretly watch them. After taking bath in the Ganges, Gaurachandra and his associates came out of the water and loudly chant the names of Hari. Thereafter, the Lord gave everyone garlands and sandalwood paste that had been offered, and then took leave and went to eat. The Lord entrusted Jagai and Madhai to the devotees, and then offered his own garlands to the two. Although the Vedas describe their appearance and disappearance, these pastimes have no beginning and no end. After returning home, the Lord washed his feet and offered obeisances to Tulasi. Thereafter, Vishwambar sat down to eat, and Mother Sachi brought the offered foods before him. The Lord of unlimited universes offered prayers to all the devotees and then began to eat. After honoring the Mahaprasad with great satisfaction, the Lord purified his mouth and sat down in the doorway. As Mother Sachi and her daughter-in-law saw these pastimes of the Lord to the full satisfaction of their eyes, they floated in an ocean of bliss. Who can describe the limit of Mother Sachi's good fortune? Only the thousand-headed Lord is able, if he is empowered. If he is empowered. In other words, the thousand-headed Lord is always empowered, but he can empower others. Even if one utters the word "ai" as a mundane word, by the influence of the word "ai," one will be freed from all suffering. So that's the name of Lord Chaitanya's mother, Sachi, Mother Sachi. On seeing the lotus face of her son, Sachi, the mother of the universe, forgot where she was. When Vishwambar went to sleep, the demigods would secretly take leave. The demigods, headed by the four-headed Brahma and the five-headed Shiva, would daily come to serve Lord Chaitanya. Without the Lord's sanction, no one could see them. Only one who is favored by the Lord can speak to others about this. One day, Vishwambar was sitting there. As Vishwambar was sitting there, some of his associates came before him. The Lord told them, "Wait there," while four-headed and five-headed personalities rolled on the ground in the courtyard. No one could estimate how many personalities were there. "Don't you recognize these persons?" All the devotees replied to the Lord with folded hands, "O Lord, the inhabitants of the three worlds serve you. What power do we have to see? Only you can give us the ability to see." These confidential pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are most wonderful. If one hears them, he achieves all perfection. Do not maintain any doubts. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva would daily come to see Gauranga. In this way, Sri Gauranga, the life and soul of the universe, delivered Jagai and Madhai. Gaurachandra will deliver everyone except those sinful persons who blaspheme Vaishnava. So again and again we hear this message and this caution about criticizing or blaspheming Vaishnavas. So just be careful. As long as you're careful, you'll be delivered. Of course, it also depends on you to a certain extent how much effort you make in Krishna consciousness. You just sit back and think you're going to just go anywhere, do anything, and then become Krishna conscious. It ain't going to work like that. It may take millions of lifetimes then. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, even if someone on the level of Lord Shiva blasphemes a devotee, he will soon be destroyed. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. In all scriptures, it is stated that if an all-knowing person be blasphemes a Vaishnava, he will certainly fall down. Krishna's name, which is the ultimate atonement, does not deliver one who offends a Vaishnava. Ooh! So there's no deliverance for offending a Vaishnava. Remember that. One who honors the following confidential words of the Padma Purana will attain ecstatic love of God. To blaspheme the great saintly persons who are preaching the glories of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. The Nama Prabhu, that's the Lord name, the Lord who is the name of Krishna, who is identical with Krishna, will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. One who hears this narration regarding the deliverance of the two rogues will be delivered by Sri Gaurachandra. All glories to Gaurachandra, to Gauranga, who delivered the two Brahman demons. O Lord, you are an ocean of mercy and the most compassionate. The Lord's supreme mercy is as vast as 1,000 oceans. He sees the good qualities of others and never finds fault in them. A sinful life devoid of association of such a Lord has no benefit other than its long duration. O Lord, please bestow your mercy on me so that I may hear and chant your glories. May I reside as the servant of Sri Gaura Sundara, the Lord of my Lord, wherever he may be. So he's the Lord of the spiritual master. There's neither a beginning or end to the topics regarding Lord Chaitanya, yet somehow or other I am narrating his glories. I offer my obeisances at the feet of the Lord and his associates so that I may not offend them. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends this English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha commentary on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Majjhikanda, chapter 13, entitled The Deliverance of Jagai and Madhai, and chapter 14, Yamaraja's Sankirtan. Haribo, Yamaraj ki jai. I gotta be careful. I throw my hands up and sometimes I hit things behind me. So let's go to the first verse. Gauranga's beautiful body was filled with ecstatic love as he sweetly danced. The demigods headed by the four-headed Brahma and the five-headed Shiva daily came and served Lord Chaitanya. Without the Lord's order, no one could see them as they repeatedly offered service to the Lord. They watched the Lord's pastimes throughout the day, and when the Lord went to bed, they would return home. After seeing the deliverance of the two Brahman demons, they contemplated that pastime as they joyfully departed. Such compassion is found in Lord Chaitanya's house that he delivered even such types of persons. Today the Lord has given us hope that we will also certainly be delivered. The demigods spoke amongst themselves in this way as they departed in great ecstasy. Yamaraja would regularly come to see the activities of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Yamaraja asked Chitragupta, how many sins did those two commit, and what was the remedy for those sins? So, to give you an idea who Chitragupta is, Chitragupta is the hidden scribe. So he's the one who notes down on his computer database concerning all the sins and all the good stuff that people do, sins and pious activities, and he has quite a large database. It must be many, many quadrillions of terabytes, like quadrillion-bytes or whatever it is. So Yamaraja is asking Chitragupta, how many sins do these people do? What's there in your database? Chitragupta replied, "Oh, Yamaraj, listen. What is the use of such a futile endeavor?" In other words, what is the use of trying to understand how many sins do they actually committed? So if 100,000 scribes continually recited for 1 month, they would not easily complete such a task. In other words, it was practically unlimited. If you heard them with 100,000 ears, you would not hear the complete account of how sinful they were. Your servants constantly narrate the sins of these two, and the scribes are frustrated in their attempts to record them. Your servants would always talk about the sins of these two, and they would be chastised as a result. The servants would say, "These two are committing the sins. Our responsibility is to get them recorded. Why should you beat us? If you don't record them, we will be punished. That is why the mountain of records is there for evidence. We even shed tears for these two. How will they tolerate the reactions?" Within a moment, Mahaprabhu has freed them from all reactions. Now, if we are ordered, we can immerse all these records. In other words, destroy the records. Yamaraj had never before seen such glorious deliverance of fallen souls. They were the ultimate. Yamaraj was by nature a Vaishnava and the personification of religious principles. He knows the confidential purports of Bhagavat Dharma. As soon as Yamaraj heard the words of Chitragupta, he forgot himself due to love of Krishna. He fell unconscious in his chariot and his body lost all signs of life. His associates, headed by Chitragupta, quickly grabbed hold of him and began to cry. All the demigods were traveling in their chariots and singing the glories of the Lord. Yamaraj's chariot was not moving, however, for its occupants were filled with lamentation. After seeing the deliverance of the two Brahmin demons, everyone was glorifying the nature of that pastime. The demigods headed by Shiva, Brahma, Shesha, and Narada were all glorifying the deliverance of these two. Some of them had never experienced such ecstatic kirtan, and some cried after seeing such compassion. The demigods saw Yamaraj lying in his chariot, which had stopped, so they all stopped their chariots nearby. Shesha, Brahma, Shiva, and various sages headed by Narada saw that Yamaraj was lying there unconscious. They were all astonished because they did not know what had happened. Then Chitragupta explained everything to them. Brahma and Shiva realized that he was absorbed in love of Krishna, so they all chanted in his ear. On hearing the kirtan, Yamaraj got up. As he regained his consciousness, he danced like an intoxicated person. As the ecstasy of the demigods' kirtan intensified, the son of Surya danced in ecstatic love for Krishna. On seeing Yamaraj dance, all the other demigods began to dance. Brahma and Shiva also danced with personalities like Narada. Hearing attentively about the dancing of the demigods, it is most confidential, but it will be revealed by the Vedas. Dharmaraj gave up all shyness and danced. He forgot himself in love for Krishna. Remembering Sri Chaitanya, he exclaimed, "All glories to the munificent deliverer of the fallen souls." He roared loudly, and the hairs of his body stood on end in love of God. There was no end to Yamaraj's ecstasy. He became overwhelmed and cried profusely as he remembered Lord Gauranga. On seeing Yamaraj's exhibition of ecstatic love, his associates rolled about in ecstasy. The most fortunate Chitragupta, who had great attachment for Krishna, expressed exultation as he wandered around. Lord Shiva danced without clothing, which he forgot in his ecstatic love for Krishna. He is the foremost Vaishnava. He makes the entire universe glorious by chanting the name of Rama, which delivers one from material bondage. Realizing the glories of his worshipful Lord, Mahesh danced in ecstasy, and his matted locks scattered. Kartikeya and Ganesh remembered the Lord's unlimited mercy as they danced on either side of Shiva. The four-headed Brahma, whose life and wealth is devotional service, danced with his associates such as Kashyapa, Kardama, Daksha, Manu, and Bhrigu, who all danced behind Brahma. Phew. It's a lot. Oh, Krishna. Whoops, wrong report. All those Mahabhagavats taught the science of devotional service by becoming intoxicated in the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Surrounding Brahma, they cried and sighed deeply as they remembered the Lord's compassion. As Devarshi Narada danced by the side of Brahma, tears of love flowed from his eyes. After realizing the Lord's unlimited glories, he became so overwhelmed in ecstasy that he forgot his Vina. Shukadeva Goswami, the beloved servant of Lord Chaitanya, knew the glories of devotional service. He danced, rolled in the dust, and offered repeated obeisances while chanting the names of Jagai and Madhai. The powerful Indra, who carries the thunderbolt and rules the demigods, reproached himself as he danced. Tears continually flowed from his 1,000 eyes, making the Brahmana's curse fruitful. I'm not going to read the purport. Realizing the Lord's glories, Indra became most happy as he rolled about without restraint. Where was his thunderbolt, and where were his crown and necklace? This is called ecstatic love for Krishna. After seeing the display of Krishna's glories, predominating deities of the universe like Chandra, Surya, Pavana, Kuvera, Vani, Agni, and Varuna, all servants of Krishna, danced in the ecstasy of love for Krishna. All the demigods danced in ecstasy and forgot who was inferior and who was superior. Although they jostled each other, they were all jubilant as they danced in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Lord Ananta danced in the company of Garuda, the son of Vinatha. Thus Adidev, the best of the Vaishnavas and maintainer of all, also danced in ecstasy. The demigods headed by Brahma, Shiva, Narada, and Shukadeva all danced around Vedanta as he sang with his 1,000 mouths the glories of Gaurachandra, who had just delivered the 2 Brahmin demons. Some cried, some laughed, and some fell unconscious due to seeing the wonderful exhibition of the Lord. Others said, "How wonderful are the glories of Gaurachandra! How fortunate are Jagai and Madhai!" The entire atmosphere was filled with the auspicious sounds of dancing and chanting in glorification of Krishna. The sound of Jaya Jaya was heard throughout innumerable universes, thus vanquishing all inauspiciousness. The auspicious sounds were heard in the planetary systems of Patala, Marcha, and Swarga, and surpassed even the topmost planet of Sachiloka. As nothing other than the pastime of delivering the Brahmin demons could be heard, the glories of Gauranga were clearly revealed. All the Mahabhagavat demigods were filled with love for Krishna as they returned to their respective abodes. They did not speak about anything other than the glories of Lord Gauranga. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra, the benefactor of the entire universe. All glories to the Lord of all planets and living entities. Please glance mercifully on everyone in the same way that you delivered the Brahmana demons. All glories to Sri Chaitanya, who, as the glorious Savior of the fallen souls, delivered the entire world. I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Thus ends this English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha commentary on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 14, entitled Yamaraja's Sankirtan. So next chapter is chapter 15, descriptions of Madhavananda's realization. Because Madhavananda is actually Madhai. That was Madhai's name before he actually became a drunkard and everything like that. So, all right. So this is an interesting chapter. See the characteristics of Gaurachandra, the Lord who is not attained by the meditation of Shiva, Shukadeva, and Narada, and spending his days and nights with those who have no material possessions. In this way, Lord Vishwambara continually performed unlimited, inconceivable pastimes in Navadvip. In spite of such manifestations, such persons could not recognize him, just as the fish in the ocean cannot see the moon. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Jagai and Madhai lived in Nadia as highly religious persons. Every day in the early morning they would take bath in the Ganges and then sit in a solitary place to chant 200,000 names of Krishna. Ooh, that's 120, approximately 128, actually a little less, probably 120. They continually condemned themselves and cried as they constantly chanted the name of Krishna. Having achieved the taste of Krishna's boundless mercy, they saw the entire world as intimately related to Krishna. They cried and fell on the ground unconscious as they remembered the violence they had previously committed. Remembering the Lord, they repeatedly cried and exclaimed, "O Gaura Chandra, O dear deliverer of the fallen souls!" Due to love of Krishna, they forgot to eat, and they would cry as they remembered the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Vishwambara and his two associates continually solaced and bestowed mercy on the two. Even though the Lord personally came and fed them, they were not peaceful at heart, because they were feeling guilty, obviously. Particularly the Brahmin Madhai cried repeatedly as he remembered how he attacked Nityananda. Even though Nityananda forgave all of his offenses, Madhai's heart was not pacified. He would condemn himself while repeatedly saying, "I made the body of Nityananda bleed. I am so sinful that I hit the body in which Lord Chaitanya enjoys his pastimes." Madhai practically lost consciousness while remembering this. He cried day and night and could not think of anything else. Day and night, Lord Nityananda happily wandered about Nadia in the mood of a child. Lord Nityananda was by nature full of ecstasy and free of pride as he wandered throughout the city. Seeing Nityananda in a solitary place, Madhai fell down and grabbed his lotus feet. He washed the Lord's feet with tears of love. Taking a straw between his teeth, he began to offer prayers to the Lord. "O Lord, you maintain everyone in your form of Vishnu. You hold innumerable universes on your hoods. O Lord, you are the embodiment of pure devotional service. Parvati and Shankara meditate on you. You distribute your devotional service. There is no one more dear to Lord Chaitanya than you. By your mercy, the powerful Garuda happily carries Krishna in his pastimes. You sing the glories of Krishna with innumerable mouths, and you teach everyone devotional service, the topmost religious system. Narada Muni sings your glories, for your only asset is Lord Chaitanya. You are known as the chastiser of Kalindi. By serving you, Janaka achieved transcendental knowledge." So, in other words, Kalindi is the Yamuna River, who Balaram chastised. "You are the primeval Lord," and Balaram and Nityananda are not different. "You are the primeval Lord and the personification of all religious principles. You are addressed by the Vedas as Adi Dev, the original Lord. You are the Father of the universe and the Master of mystic yoga. You are Lakshman, the great archer. You are the destroyer of the atheist, the enjoyer of transcendental knowledge, and the teacher by example. You know all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Mahamaya became worshipable by serving you. Innumerable universes desire the shelter of your lotus feet. You are the devotee of Lord Chaitanya and the personification of pure devotional service. You possess all potencies of Lord Chaitanya." So now we will stop sharing and see if anyone has questions. First of all, I have to unmute you all. All right. So if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself or type in the chat window. So now is your opportunity to ask questions. Does anyone have any questions? If not, we end early. Okay. Madhava, you have a question.
Hare Krishna Dandavad Maharaj. So the question is regarding yesterday class. I couldn't get to ask, and there was a lot of other good questions. My question from yesterday was twofold when you were describing Mukunda about his glory, how pure devotee, and he was kind of not being attended appropriately by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the other pure devotees were kind of in lamentation. So, so here he is very advanced, and he talked about devotional service of so much emphasis. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is he tricking? He said that so magnanimous, this Kali Yuga, no other way, only chanting, and can get liberation, maybe at high level. No devotee pure is not interested in liberation. So is Mahaprabhu was tricking by, okay, to get everybody to chant, because here he's talking very high level requirements, surrender, as we know that Krishna asked surrender. Uh, Only then his mercy he can get to him.
That's right.
And so it was kind of that a kind of question I had in my mind.
So,
Yeah,
so, so in other words, why did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu impose such a high standard with Mukunda,
yeah,
but he didn't impose a high standard with Jagai and Madhai?
yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah,
my question
that's
yesterday.
basically the question. That with Jagai and Madhai, it was just like, all right, just chant Hare Krishna and surrender to Lord Nityananda. Um, I think Lord Chaitanya was teaching that with more knowledge comes greater responsibility. Or as they say in one particular movie, with great power comes great responsibility. So Mukunda knew better, was already a devotee, and he did something that he knew was wrong. Whereas in the case of Jagai and Madhai, they were acting completely out of ignorance. So Lord Chaitanya was upset because he expected more from Mukunda, who was his eternal associate. Like that's general psychology. Like if someone is working with you, many lifetimes or for a long period of time, and they just really do something stupid, you tend to get angry with them. But if someone just comes to you, they're trying their best, they're just a new person, and they do something stupid, you know, whatever, you don't get so upset. Let's say, okay, new someone comes to the temple for the first time, and then they may take grains on Ekadasi because they're not attentive. So you don't get so upset. But let's say someone has been a devotee for like 30 years, they take grains on Ekadasi when they should have known better. Then you're going to get much more upset with such a person. So Lord Chaitanya was showing that too. With great intelligence or great power or whatever, or intimacy comes more responsibility. And also, because someone like Mukunda, he was setting the example for other people. Here he is, Lord Chaitanya's associate, hanging out with all the impersonalists, Mayavadis, whatever, whoever he was hanging out with. So then the other devotees can say, okay, it's all right to do that. So in other words, when you have a position, I mean, just like as, or let's take the story of Junior Haridas, who was a sannyasi, and then he did something wrong, with women or something, and Lord Chaitanya rejected him. Whereas other people, they may have done the same thing, but because they didn't have that position, he didn't treat them so heavily. And I think that's a question of setting an example for others, how important it is. And secondly, uh, Gopal just sent a quote: "With great power must come great responsibility." That's from one of his favorite movies, which I won't mention. Don't want to embarrass him. So, so anyway, so yeah, so when you have a position, you have a great responsibility of setting an example. I mean, if you let's say if you came someday and I was at a disco or something like that, and I was dancing, what? But if I go out one day and find you at a disco, it's all right. I don't.
So sometimes with great personalities, it cannot be seen as maybe it was a Leela. How about
Yeah, it was Leela also. With Mukunda was Leela. But Lord Chaitanya was telling us, showing us
uh,
that when one has a position, especially as an eternal associate of the Lord, you have much more responsibility to act properly.
like Lord Balram when he takes Baruni, got drunk, and then all kinds of things were happening. You
Yeah, yeah. When Balaram was drunk, yeah,
know?
yeah. So there's great responsibility. Like especially like sannyasi has great responsibility. You know, if a sannyasi, it's described if sannyasi has some fault, it's like a spot on a white sheet. But if a grahasta has a fault, it's just like normal. I'm sorry. That's a joke. Anyway, that's a joke.
Thank you. Thank you.
You gotta be careful. So anyway, so
Thank you.
okay, all right. So who else has a question? Anyone else have a question there? Question? No, no one has a question. Okay,
Thank you for my obeisances, Srila Gurudev.
some my blessings. So
Regarding the destruction of one who commits offenses against Vaishnavas, um, in this atmosphere of Kali Yuga, uh, there's so many bad qualities, especially that come with um, not so great upbringings. I mean, even in other yugas. So
yeah,
many times people will commit offenses, not so much because they have an offensive heart or an offensive
yeah,
attitude towards the devotional service or devotees for their devotional service, but just because they're accustomed to savage behavior.
yeah. But
Um,
that's not so serious because again, the same thing. With great intelligence comes great responsibility.
mm,
Like action and knowledge is very. You know, if someone, I mean, it's like a kid. Let's say, all right, let's say there's some pure devotee somewhere, and he picks up a little baby, and the baby starts kicking him. I mean, is that offensive? I don't think so. But if someone picks up you and you start kicking them,
mm.
then that's offensive. Like if you walk up to a Vaishnava and kick him, that's really offensive. But some kid walks up to a Vaishnava and kicks him, it's just like it's kind of cute.
But there's many, especially today by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, there's many of us who are on the spectrum of aspiring, one way or other. So in that aspirational stage, sometimes one may exhibit not such great behavior, and then
Yeah,
that would cause others to be very angry with that person, even though they're an aspiring
yeah.
Vaishnava, or
So
to reject
one
that
has to
person,
be
whatever.
yeah, one has to be careful. Yeah, one has to be careful. Okay, time to end.
Okay.
It's
Thank you, Gurudev.
it's it's pumpkin time. All right. We'll see everybody later. All glories to